She was fired on the spot, for kindness. No warning, no second chance, just 30 seconds after sliding a plate of free food across the table to a man who looked homeless. Her manager snapped, "You're done here. Apron off. Now." The entire diner went silent. Little did they know. That man, he wasn't just some drifter. He was the CEO of a nationwide restaurant chain on a secret mission. And her simple act of compassion was about to change everything. In this story, you'll see how a single decision made in the blink of an eye flipped a young woman's life upside down. You'll witness betrayal, loyalty, and a moment of truth no one saw coming. A corporate shakeup, a public reveal, and a reward that stunned even the harshest critics. Pay close attention. There's a brief quiz at the end asking, how many times was the name Stephen Carter mentioned in this story? It's just for fun. Get it right within 7 days for a chance at our shout-out post. Watching late? Answer anyway. We might still surprise you. Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe now, and turn on the bell for more jaw-dropping real-life twists and emotional storytelling every week. The diner smelled of bacon grease and burnt coffee, sticky floors, tired booths, and a bell that rang every time someone entered. This wasn't fine dining. But for Maggie, it was her lifeline. She worked double shifts to pay off student loans and take care of her little sister. Tips kept the lights on. She was good at her job, smiling even when her feet throbbed, remembering every regular's order, and always sneaking a cookie to the kids who couldn't afford dessert. Then came him, disheveled, silent, a gray hoodie with holes, worn-out jeans and shoes that looked like they'd walked through every state. He sat in the back corner, staring at the menu without touching it. Maggie asked, "Coffee?" He nodded, quietly, then added, "I'll just have water. I'm just resting." She knew that look, hunger disguised as humility. He didn't want to beg, so she did what she always did, what her mom taught her before she passed. She brought him a full meal anyway, pancakes, eggs, toast. "No charge," she whispered. "It's on me." Her manager saw it, furious. "Are we running a charity now?" he barked, storming from the kitchen. "You just cost us money, Maggie. That's theft." And before she could speak, he fired her. Tears welled up, but Maggie didn't fight. She took off her apron, left the tip money behind, and walked out, head high, heartbroken. But the man she fed? He followed her outside. And then, everything changed. He introduced himself, Stephen Carter, founder and CEO of Harvest Griddle, a 200-location breakfast chain. And he was in disguise, evaluating staff as part of a top-secret integrity audit. Maggie thought it was a prank, until he pulled out his business card, until a black SUV pulled up to take him to his next stop. A week later, social media exploded. The story went viral. Waitress fired for feeding homeless man. Turns out he was a CEO. TV stations covered it. Celebrities commented. But what stunned Maggie most was the letter she got in the mail. It came with a plane ticket and a job offer, not just at any restaurant. As the manager of a brand new Harvest Griddle location in her hometown. Triple her old salary, full benefits, and a scholarship fund in her name to help other young people chasing their dreams. But that wasn't all. A second envelope was tucked beneath the job offer, thicker, heavier. When Maggie opened it, she found a typed letter and a check. $5,000. No explanation, just a line. For your sister. She deserves better, too. Her hands trembled. How did he know about Emily? Only 2 people at the diner knew Maggie was raising her teenage sister alone, her friend Jenna from the night shift, and the manager who fired her. Her jaw clenched. He'd known. And still, he humiliated her in front of everyone. The job offer was real. The manager position started in 2 weeks, if she wanted it. She'd relocate, get training in a sleek corporate campus in Chicago, and then come back home to run the very first harvest griddle in town. Maggie sat on the apartment floor, knees pulled to her chest, the letter in one hand and her phone in the other. She hadn't told Emily yet. She hadn't even told Jenna. She kept staring at the line in the letter. She deserves better too. Why too? Had he been watching them longer than just that day? The next morning, Maggie took a walk. The streets felt colder now, smaller. Everything reminded her of the people who used to smile at her when she wore that apron. But now they looked away. News traveled fast in small towns, even faster when it made national headlines. A group of regulars sat outside the coffee shop, Carl, Jean, and Ron. They'd always left her decent tips. She waved softly. They didn't wave back. By the time she got home, there were 42 unread messages on her phone. Most were strangers, applauding her courage. A few offered small donations, some were weird, and one was from Jenna. "We need to talk. I got pulled into a meeting last night. Something's off." Maggie replied instantly. 10 minutes later, Jenna was on her couch with a vanilla latte and panic in her voice. "He came back," she whispered. Maggie blinked. "The CEO?" Jenna nodded. "Stephen Carter. He showed up again yesterday. Not dressed down this time. He came in with 2 guys in suits. Talked to the owner privately. No one knows what they said." Maggie frowned. "What do you mean, no one knows?" They shut the door. 15 minutes later, the owner fired Rick. Rick, the manager who fired Maggie. But something about Jenna's tone made Maggie uneasy. "And then," Jenna added slowly, "they asked about me. Asked what I knew. If I'd talked to you." Maggie's stomach dropped. Later that night, Maggie pulled up Stephen Carter's profile. It was more than just a CEO bio. Photos of him cutting ribbons, shaking hands with mayors, donating to shelters. But there were gaps. No family, no spouse, no mention of his own story. Just a man who rose through the ranks and believed in second chances. She checked again. The job offer hadn't been rescinded. But something felt controlled, calculated. The next morning, she got a call. Unknown number. She hesitated, then picked up. "Maggie," the voice said calmly, "I hope you're still considering the opportunity." It was Stephen. His voice was smoother now. No rasp, no nervous pause. "I am," she said cautiously, "but I have questions." "Of course. Ask anything." "Why me?" There was silence on the line. Then he answered. "Because no one helped me once, and it nearly broke me." His voice faltered. Just a second. Then he recovered. "You did what no one else did. That kind of instinct, you can't train it. You either have it, or you don't." She wanted to believe him, but the words felt rehearsed. "I also noticed," he added, "you haven't accepted the transfer yet." "I needed time." "That's fair," he said. "But just know, the window won't stay open forever." Was that a threat? She didn't respond. He ended the call with something that didn't sit right. "Not everyone wants you to succeed, Maggie. Be careful who you trust." The next day, Maggie met Jenna again. This time, in her car, parked behind the library. "I heard something," Jenna said. "From Ron, the old guy who always orders blueberry waffles." "What?" "Turns out, he's not just a regular. He's part of the town council." "And?" "He said Stephen Carter has been eyeing our town for months, tried to buy up 3 local diners, got turned down. Then suddenly he's here undercover, and boom, we're a national story." Maggie's head spun. "You think he staged it?" "I don't know, but it feels like more than a coincidence." Jenna leaned in. "What if he used you, Mags? What if he knew you'd do something kind? What if it was all a setup?" Maggie couldn't sleep that night. She thought of that look in Stephen's eyes. Not just gratitude, something deeper. Guilt? Or something darker? And then she remembered something else. That envelope, the check, the line. She deserves better too. But Maggie had never mentioned Emily during her shift. So how did he know? She tore open her junk drawer and pulled out the notepad where she used to jot orders, personal notes, and passwords. Inside it, tucked in the back, was a crumpled piece of paper she didn't recognize. It was her sister's school schedule, with Maggie's address, and guardian, Maggie B, scribbled in pencil. Someone had taken it. Her heart pounded. She hadn't brought that to work. Had Stephen been in her home? That was impossible, right? The next morning, Maggie received a box. No sender name, just her name in block letters. Inside, a Harvest Griddle uniform, a key card, and a photo, not of her, of Emily, at school, laughing, backpack on, taken from behind, zoomed in, dated yesterday. Her blood ran cold. No message, no explanation, just the photo. Maggie dropped the photo on the floor, hands shaking. Was it a warning? A threat? A reminder? Or something worse? She stared out the window. The town she once felt safe in now felt like a trap. She picked up her phone, typed a message to Jenna. "Something's happening. I need your help. Now." Before she could hit send, her phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number again. "You don't have to be afraid, Maggie. You just have to say yes." She dropped the phone. Her knees buckled. The floor felt cold against her palms, her breathing shallow. Maggie wasn't the panicky type. She'd held it together when her mom passed, when Emily cried for days, when the landlord threatened eviction. But this was something else. This was personal, intimate, like someone had pressed their thumbprint on her life and dared her to move. She picked up the phone slowly, as if it might bite. The screen had gone dark, but the message was burned into her brain. "You don't have to be afraid, Maggie. You just have to say yes." Say yes to what? The job, the move, the quiet submission to something she no longer trusted? Maggie didn't reply. Instead, she walked into the bathroom and splashed her face with water. Cold, sharp, real. She stared at herself in the mirror. She looked older, tired, but there was still that edge in her eyes, the same edge she saw in her mom's eyes the day she told her boss to shove the night shift because Maggie had a fever and needed soup. People didn't get to scare her into silence, not without a fight. She texted Jenna again. "Meet me at the Tracks in 20. Bring your burner phone. Don't come alone." The Tracks was a half-shut railway diner no one visited anymore. Just enough cover to talk, just enough distance from prying ears. By the time Jenna arrived, Maggie was already pacing. "Okay," Jenna said, pulling up her hood. "You're scaring me. What's going on?" Maggie handed her the photo. Jenna froze. Did someone follow your sister?" "I didn't post this. I didn't take this," Maggie snapped. "It came in a box, with a uniform, and a key card." Jenna stared at the picture longer than she needed to, then looked up. "They want you scared." "Why? I already said yes to the job, didn't I?" "You haven't said yes yet," Jenna reminded her. "Not officially. Not in writing." Maggie blinked. That was true. "I think," Jenna continued, "they want control. You got media attention they didn't plan for. Now they need you compliant, quiet, loyal." Maggie shook her head. "I didn't ask to be part of this." Jenna's voice dropped. "Yeah, but Maggie, you are, and I think they're not done with you." That night, Maggie sat with Emily on the couch, trying to act normal. Emily was in her own world, texting, chewing on sour candy, flipping between shows. "Hey," Maggie said softly, "do you remember anyone taking pictures at school this week?" Emily looked up. "What? Number Y?" "No reason, just curious." Emily rolled her eyes. Okay, weirdo. Maggie forced a smile. Sorry, long day. She didn't want to drag Emily into it, not yet. Not when she couldn't promise she'd be safe. But deep down, she knew. That line had already been crossed. 3 days passed. No more messages, no packages, no calls, just silence. Then a letter arrived. Formal, typed, watermarked. It wasn't a threat. It was a reminder. Your training window closes Friday. After that, we will proceed with other candidates. We hope you understand the opportunity being offered. Not everyone gets a second chance. It wasn't signed by Stephen. It was from Corporate Talent Acquisition. No names, no contacts, just a number. Maggie read it 3 times. Second chance. That phrase again. But who said she needed one? She went to see her former boss, Rick. He was out of work now, fired by the franchise owner just days after Stephen's second visit. She found him at the bowling alley, drinking cheap beer, surrounded by empty lanes. I figured you'd come, Rick said without looking up. I just want to talk, Maggie said. About what? How I ruined your life and you got famous for it? She stayed silent. I didn't mean to fire you like that, he muttered. It was a bad call. He trailed off. You just what? She asked, folding her arms. He looked at her then, eyes red, mouth dry. I'd been warned. Maggie's pulse quickened. Warned? He nodded slowly. Corporate was doing integrity audits. They sent memos, said undercover visits were coming, said any policy breach would result in penalties, closures, fines. So you fired me to save the store? He hesitated, then nodded again. I thought, if I didn't act fast, they'd shut us down. I thought I was protecting everyone's jobs. She stared at him. You knew I wasn't stealing. Doesn't matter, he said bitterly. Optics do. She wanted to scream, to cry, to walk out, but she didn't. Instead, she asked the question that had haunted her. Did you tell them about Emily? Rick blinked. What? About my sister, our address, anything. Number God, no. Why would I? She didn't believe him. Or maybe she just couldn't afford to. That night, Jenna sent a link. Check this. It was a job board, a new post. Harvest Griddle, manager position, same town, same salary, different name. They had already moved on. The offer wasn't just expiring, it was disappearing. Maggie stared at the screen. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt hollow. Like a rug had been pulled out from under her before she'd even stepped on it. The next morning, a letter arrived from the Department of Labor. An anonymous report had been filed under Maggie's name, claiming she'd accepted compensation in exchange for a staged media stunt involving the CEO. It was a federal investigation, and it could bar her from ever working in food service management again. Maggie fell into the nearest chair. She wasn't just being pressured anymore. She was being erased, silenced, discredited. If she didn't comply, they'd bury her, or worse, make her look like the fraud. She called the number from the corporate letter. It rang once, then went straight to voicemail, generic, cold, no names. She didn't leave a message. She didn't need to. The next day, Emily came home from school with a flyer. Hey, she said, this came in my locker. Thought it was weird. Maggie opened it. It was a brochure for a private academy 2 states away, with a sticky note that read, fully paid, for her future, just say yes. Emily smiled. Do you know these people? Maggie didn't answer. She couldn't. That night, Maggie sat in the dark. She stared at the pile of letters, the check, the photo. She had a choice. Say yes, and lose her name. Say no, and risk everything she loved. She got up, walked to the trash can, and stopped. One envelope remained unopened. It had no return address, no postage. It hadn't come in the mail. She opened it. Inside, one sentence, typed, center-aligned. "You're not the first, but you can be the last." Maggie froze. She read it again. Then again. Who sent this? Stephen? Someone else? Someone trying to warn her? The room suddenly felt smaller, quieter, too quiet. She turned to the window. Across the street, a man in a black coat stood by the lamppost, still, waiting. And just like that, the girl who once gave pancakes to a stranger now finds herself standing at a crossroads, one path paved with power, the other with peace. But when kindness becomes a currency and trust is quietly weaponized, what choice do you really have? Maggie never asked for the spotlight. All she ever wanted was to help. But in a world where good intentions are manipulated and silence is rewarded, her fight is no longer just about a job. It's about holding on to who she really is. And that question, who are you when no one's watching, might be the most dangerous one of all. If this story moved you, comment where you're watching from and answer the quiz at the end. Get it right within 7 days for a chance at our shout-out post. Watching late? Answer anyway. We might still surprise you. And if you love this kind of emotional story, the next one is already waiting for you. Click the video that will show on your screen soon. We'll meet you there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss what happens next. Quiz. How many times was the name Stephen Carter mentioned in this story?